Hello, everybody. In chapter 13, we're going to be talking about marketing, and that's just helping buyers buy. In this chapter, we're going to be talking about what is marketing, the marketing mix, providing marketers with information, the marketing environment, two different markets, consumer and business to business, the consumer market, the business to business market, and then your prospects in marketing. So to get started out here, we'll define marketing. That's just the activity, set of institutions and processes for creating, communicating, delivering, and exchanging offerings with value for customers, clients, partners, and society at large. So marketing today involves helping the buyer buy through websites that will help buyers find the best price, identify product features, questions and sellers, blogs and social networking sites that cultivate customer relationships. So, any sort of advertisement that you're seeing, whether it be online, on television, through print, I mean, that's all going to be related to marketing. We talked at one point in the semester about different data sites that are pulling data from your computer to figure out exactly what you're shopping for. That all has to do with marketing as well. So the evolution of marketing, there's been four eras, which was the production era, the selling era, the marketing concept era, and then the customer relationship era. So as you can see here, the production era went from the mid 1800s all the way up until about 1930. This is just kind of where they're pumping out a bunch of products and kind of letting the product speak for itself. You've got the selling era started in the 1920s, went all the way up until about 1950. The marketing concepts. The marketing kind of went from 1950 all the way up until about 1990. So this is kind of be like the golden era. Think Mad Men during that time, and then now we have the customer relationship era, which started about 1990 all the way through today. So I mean that's just a little more customer focused and dealing on exactly what the customer is wanting. So the production era general philosophy was to produce as much as you can because there is a limitless market for it. So I mean, if you think about like the Ford Model T, they just produced as many as possible just because somebody's going to buy it. Henry Ford had that famous quote. He goes, "I can build any your car in any color that you want, just as long as it's Ford and it's black." So they didn't necessarily care what the consumers wanted at that point. They were just pretty much making it just because the consumers would be buying it. You have the selling era, which came later on, which most companies emphasize selling and advertising in an effort to persuade consumers to buy existing products. So this is when they're actually starting to reach out to the customers a little bit more and kind of figure out like, hey, you should buy this product because it's a great product. So in the selling era, the focus on marketing was on selling the product itself with little service afterward and less customization. What economic and social factors made this approach appropriate for the time? So, on the left-hand side, we have a example of the Crosley shelf door gives you automatic defrosting for a refrigerator. So this is going to be a very big purchase for the family for them to buy a refrigerator. But after the fact, they don't have to worry about selling them or worry about keeping them happy. Just because I mean it is a pretty big purchase at that time, and it was just so hard to get in touch with some of these companies. I mean that's why this was kind of the era of the door-to-door salesman, where they come into your home, they kind of list out everything that you can benefit from when it comes to a product. They sell you the product and then they leave. You're never going to see that door-to-door salesman ever again. And even if you do have a problem with it, you just kind of have to say, well, I either got swindled or it was just a bad product. Whatever it might be. And then also we just didn't necessarily have the means to really talk to the general public about if you did have a bad service or a bad experience with it. So I mean, today it's completely different. Where we have social media, we have all these different outlets to where if we do have a bad experience with something, we can go to the masses and let them know like don't buy this product because it's not a very good product. So the marketing concept era. So after World War II, a consumer spending boom developed. Businesses knew they needed to be responsive to consumers if they wanted their business. Marketing concept, that's a three-part business philosophy. So customer orientation, service orientation, and then profit orientation. So after that World War II, I mean, that's definitely like your Mad Men era. If you haven't watched Mad Men and you want to know a little bit more about like marketing and just kind of that era in general, I highly recommend that TV series just because from a business standpoint, I mean, it can teach you so much when it comes to advertising and marketing, and it's just a really cool, series just to kind of learn a little bit more about, the 1960s on and the 1970s and just everything America went through, during that time. Right now, we're under the customer relationship era. So, customer relationship management, learning as much as possible about customers and doing everything you can to satisfy or exceed their expectations. Organizations seek to stimulate long-term customer loyalty. Social networks, online communities, and blogs are used in relationship building. So, there's tons of studies out there today for different products. Whether you're going after a certain target market, you're developing a product, you're kind of throwing it out there, getting a lot of feedback from very early on for everybody. With social media, online communities, different things, it's very easy to if you have a product out there, you can go out, you can do polls, you can get surveys done, and figure out exactly what the customer is wanting, and then you can get the product together, put it out there, and then you can still get feedback and better your product in the long run. So the emerging mobile on-demand marketing era. So as digital technology continues to grow, consumer demands are expected to rise. In now, consumers want to interact anywhere, anytime. They want to use information in new ways to create value for them. For me, consumer are expected to personalize experiences, and then simple consumers are expected to interactions for them to be easy for them. The cost of acquiring a new customer is 5 times the cost of retaining a new one. So here's how to keep them. So you build trust, be open about mistakes, listen, promise only what you can deliver, show appreciation, and remember employees are customers too. So I mean, it comes down to building trust, creating a good product. If you do make a mistake, I mean, own up to it. I mean, there's a lot of organizations. I mean, one of the early chapters we talked about, Volkswagen, how they had that huge mistake that they made as far as their emission scandal. They weren't very open about it. They kind of put it off as much as possible, and it wasn't until the U.S. government stepped in that they had to fix it. So I mean, if you do make a mistake, it's best to just kind of own up to it from the start. Listen to your customers, listen to your support base. Kind of figure out exactly what everybody's wanting and try to make them as happy as possible. As far as promise only what you can deliver. Don't go out and say that you're going to deliver something like Tesla. That's a great example of something where Elon Musk has said that he's going to deliver a car by a certain date, and then he won't deliver it until 3 years after that. And then just showing appreciation to your customers. Give them coupons, give them shout outs, show exactly how the product is affecting their lives, and thank them for it as well. So nonprofit organizations and marketing. So nonprofit marketing tactics includes, fundraising, obtaining resources, promotion of ecologically safe technologies, attracting new members, creation of awareness for social issues. So PBS, they do their PBS telethons every year as far as fundraising goes. United Way. Right now at work, we're doing a United Way campaign where we're gathering funds for United Way. So United Way does a really good job about that. Is getting into organizations, creating these campaigns for them and helping them out to help raise funds, because it's only going to help the United Way in the long run, and they do a great job of marketing it as well. Here's a really good example of a not-for-profit, ad. So the Ad Council sponsors many public service ads like this one. The idea is to make the public more aware of various needs that only not-profit organizations are meeting. Do you think these types of ads were effective? So, over here on the right, got a picture of a dog, got some feathers around its head. And then, one of the captions here, so kids will spend 11 minutes dressing Spike up like a princess. How about 2 minutes to brush their teeth? And then, this was for, healthy mouse, healthy lives. So just kind of a reminder that, brushing for 2 minutes can save your child from severe tooth pain later. 2 minutes twice a day. They have time for that. For fun, 2-minute video you can watch while brushing. Go to the website listed there. So that's just a really quick ad as to kind of a constant reminder that you have a lot of time throughout your day. Don't waste it on a bunch of stuff. You should brush your teeth from a very early age. So marketing strategies for nonprofits, a nonprofit marketing strategy might include some of these things. Determine the firm's goals and objectives, focus on long-term marketing, find a confident board of directors, exercise strategic planning, think long-term, train to develop long-term volunteers, and then carefully segment a target market. So the 4 Ps in marketing are really important here. So we'll go over these in the next couple of slides. So when it comes to the 4 Ps, you've got product, price, place, and promotion. So for product, that's just any physical good, service, or idea that satisfies a want or need for the consumer. You test marketing. These are just testing products among potential users. A brand name, a word, letter, or group of words or letters that differentiates one seller's goods and services from those of competitors. Being here in the Midwest, we are in a pretty good test market. A lot of these companies do a lot of testing, especially here in Illinois. Peoria used to be one of the best test markets just because Peoria was so diverse, that there used to be an old saying that, if it plays in Peoria, meaning that if it does well in Peoria, it's probably going to do everywhere else in the country. But, like I said, here in the Midwest, we do see, a lot of, different types of products that you might not see, elsewhere throughout the country. So setting an appropriate price. Pricing products depends on many factors such as competitors' prices, production costs, distribution, promotion. All these come into play whenever you're trying to figure out a price of something. And then getting the product on the right place. Intermediaries are important because getting a product to consumers when and where they want is crucial. Promotion, all the techniques sellers use to inform people about and motivate them to buy their products or services. So right now, one of the promotions that comes to mind is we talked about New Coke in a previous chapter. So the promotion that went on between New Coke and Stranger Things, if you watch that, Stranger Things is based in the 1980s. They're bringing back New Coke just because of Stranger Things. So that's a pretty cool promotion that was, here recently. Promotions includes advertising, personal selling, public relations, publicity, word of mouth, and then also sales promotions as well. So applying the 4 Ps, a vegetarian restaurant might fill a popular need in the neighborhood of many college campuses today. Is there one near your school? What can you tell about its managers? Application of the 4 Ps of marketing, product, price, place, and promotion. As far as a vegetarian restaurant, I'm not all that familiar with one close to campus here at Lincoln Land. I know we do have, a couple of healthy stores here in Springfield and healthy restaurants. So the first one that comes to mind that just opened not that long ago is Core Life Eatery. So a lot of these places are kind of jumping on the bandwagon of healthy eating, healthy living. We're starting to see more and more of these places kind of pop up. Whenever you're thinking about Core Life, as far as promotion goes, when they first opened, they were offering discounts to come in. Their price point is pretty good. So overall, they did a pretty good job with their initial opening. A perfect promotion so that gets customers emotional about your product, emphasize the product's benefit to the customer, use emotion-laden advertising, appeal to your customers, be confident, show interest in others, be enthusiastic and respectful. Think about like Super Bowl ads. Every year you always have a few Super Bowl ads that are kind of like tear jerkers. They really hit on your emotional level. I'm trying to think. Budweiser always does a really good Super Bowl ad, usually involves some sort of puppy. And, I'm not going to lie, I've cried at a couple of them just because I love puppies. So those are always, really good ads to think about whenever we're talking about different types of promotions. So the 6 sins of web design. So you could have too much clutter and difficult to navigate for a website. You might have stale information, tiny fonts and poor color choices, ignoring the needs of your customer base, using outdated methods, and not bearing dead links. So if you do that on a website, hopefully it's got a nice appeal to it. You like the flow of it, you like the way it looks. And that's one of the things about some of these web design places. I'm not sure if anybody watches the show Silicon Valley, but there was a scene in one of the episodes where they rolled out this app everybody loved the app according to the company, but the mistake that they made is they released the app for kind of an initial test run to just web developers. So web developers loved the app, but whenever they released it to the general public hated the app. So that's something that you have to think about as well, is who are you having test, a product or a service? Who are you talking to about it? I mean, if it's somebody within the same industry, yeah, you're probably going to get a lot of the same feedback that you're already thinking about, thinking, oh yeah, this is a great product or this is a great service. But you need to, release it to, a very diverse group and get that feedback from everybody. Marketing research, just the analysis of markets to determine opportunities and challenges and to find the information needed to make good decisions. So research is used to identify products consumers have used in the past and what they want in the future. Just building on products from the past and just making it better. For the future. I mean, take a look at the iPhone and how much has evolved over the years. Whenever we first got the iPhone out, it was already a great, technological revolution. But then since then, they've just continued to improve it each and every year into what it is today, and it's always going to continue to improve as well. So research uncovers business trends, the ecological impact of decisions, global trends, and more. The marketing research process, this is just defining the problem or opportunity to determine the present situation, collecting research data, analyzing that data, and then choosing the best solution and implementing it. So defining the question to determine the present situation. So what is the present situation? What are the problems or the opportunities? What are the alternatives? What information is needed? And how should the information be gathered? So along with this, we talked about SWOT analysis. You can use a SWOT analysis in this situation. Brainstorming is a really good idea. Just get a lot of input from a lot of different people and just kind of figure out, what's going on right now? Where do we need to go? And how are we going to get there? As far as collecting data, you can get secondary data, which is information that has already been compiled by others and published in journals and books and made available online. Secondary data incurs no expense and is usually easily accessible. Secondary data doesn't always provide all the information needed for marketers. So, I mean, like it says, most of this information is already out there online, and readily available for you. It's cheap, but it might not be, exactly what you're looking for. So that is kind of one of the downsides to it. Primary data, data that you gather yourself, not from a secondary source. So telephone, online, mail surveys, personal interviews, and focus groups are ways to collect primary data. A focus group, a small group of people who meet under the direction of discussion leader to communicate opinions. One of the ad campaigns going around right now is with Chevrolet. So Chevrolet, commercials kind of have like a general idea or kind of like what a focus group would look like, saying, oh, does this look like a Chevy? And, the people are like, oh, no, that doesn't look like a Chevy. And then, it turns out to be, a Chevy vehicle. So, in these focus groups, I'm sure you've probably seen different examples of it through, movies and television, different things like that. I've never asked to be part of a focus group. I think that'd be kind of an interesting thing to go through. The closest thing that I've ever, been a part of as far as a focus group is just being part of the Nielsen rating surveys, which that's another kind of point for marketers to where they kind of figure out who is watching what television, and when are they watching it. Nielsen is kind of cool because usually you'll get like $2 in the mail, and then they'll have you fill out a short survey. You'll send it in, and then if they want you to continue on with it, they'll send you like another like $25 or something, and then you continue on with it. So I have done the Nielsen surveys a couple of times. So analyzing the research data. So marketers must turn data into useful information through careful, honest interpretation. Choosing the best solution and implementing it. So marketers must use their analysis to plan strategies and make recommendations. Finally, marketers must evaluate their actions to determine if further research is needed. So, if marketers are finding out that people between the age of 18 to 25 do not like a certain product or a certain service, then they can go to the firm and say, we got to kind of change our product, or we need to market it a different way to try to get the individuals in this segment to go after it. Environmental scanning. So this is just the process of identifying factors that can affect marketing success. So some of the influences involved in the environmental scan include global factors, technological factors, sociocultural factors, competitive factors, and economic factors as well. So we do have the ABCs of marketing. So you always want to be customer focused. Benchmark against the best firms. We talked about that in the past as far as benchmarking, continuously improve performance, develop the best value package, empower your employees, focus on relationship building, and then goal achievement is the reward. So pretty much all of these things that we've talked about here, we've talked about at some point during the semester, and they're just good common business practices that translate into marketing. So you do have a consumer market, which is all the individuals or households that want goods and services for personal consumption or use, and then businesses, business to business or B2B market. So these are all the individuals or organizations that want goods or services to use in producing other goods and services to sell, rent, or supply goods to others. So the size and diversity of the consumer market forces marketers to decide which groups they want to serve. So you do have market segmentation, which is dividing the total market into groups whose members have similar characteristics, such as age, race. You can even lump it into income levels, different things along those lines. Target market, marketing directed towards those groups or organization decides if it can serve profitably. So different types of segments here. So we have, geographic segmentation. So dividing it by cities, countries, states, and regions. Something that does well here in the Midwest might not do well in the South, or Pacific Northwest, different things like that. Demographic segmentation, dividing it by age, income, education level. That's what, if you've ever filled out like something online as far as like a survey goes, it might ask you your age. It might ask you like, what's the highest degree level that you have? Are you currently making, less than $50,000 a year? Different things like that. I mean, that all plays into some of these decisions. Um, so psychographic segmentation is dividing the market into using groups' values, attitudes, and interests. Benefit segmentation, dividing the market by determining which benefits of the product to talk about. And then the volume or usage segmentation is just dividing the market usage. So, the overall volume of use. A niche market, finding small but profitable market segments and designing or finding products for them. A niche market, I feel like a lot of breweries kind of do a lot of niche markets. Small batch breweries are starting to become a bigger thing, but when you go back maybe about 10 years ago, PBR was kind of a niche marketing thing where there was like a small group of people who still liked PBR, and now it's gotten a little bit bigger, but now you can see it like all over like music festivals and everything. But that was kind of like the original, or not the original, but it was one of the niche marketers that kind of come to mind whenever I think about this. And you do have one-to-one marketing, which is just developing a unique mix of goods and services for each individual consumer. This can be very expensive, very time-consuming. So Bass Pro Shops offer a vast array of products for the wide range of outdoor enthusiasts who visit its stores. Dividing its market into identifiable segments is crucial to the success of the company. What different market segments do you think the company targets? So we do have a Bass Pro up in Peoria. I'm not sure how many of you have been there. But you walk in, I mean, there's a lot to do in Bass Pro. I mean, whether you like hunting, whether you like fishing, just general outdoors. I mean, they do go after like different market segments as that goes. But I mean, the overall theme of it is, I mean, you have to have some sort of love for the outdoors. But I mean, they do offer cooking supplies in there. They have if you're a gun enthusiast, they have a lot of different types of guns. There's just kind of a lot of stuff to do in there. And I mean, even like the one in Peoria, they have a bowling alley in there. Hopefully that can attract some families to come in, maybe kind of spend an entire day in there. So they do a little, different things to kind of bring in families in there and just kind of make it like a day type of an appearance instead of coming in. It's not like going to the grocery store where you're only going to go in there for 5 minutes, get your one thing, and leave. Like, it's one of those things where you're going to go in, you're going to look around for maybe a couple of hours. Hopefully, you stop in the restaurant that they have in there. You'll get some food. You'll continue to look around. Like I said, they have a bowling alley in there. Maybe take the kids to go bowling in there. They have a fudgery in there to where you can get some fudge. So yeah, they just kind of uh, made it as family friendly as possible. And it's kind of one of those things where it's almost like going to the zoo, just because they do have like fish tanks in there. I mean, like it says in the picture here, you've got stuffed animals that they can see. So it's a pretty cool experience to go into a place like that. So mass marketing, that's developing products and promotions to please large groups of people. And then relationship marketing, just keeping individual customers over time by offering them products that exactly meet their requirements. Some of the effective relationship marketing build on open communication, consistently reliable service, staying in contact with customers, trust, honesty, ethical behavior, showing that you do truly care. So a lot of social media presences, do things that kind of go along with these, just as far as being open with your customer base, kind of figuring out exactly what it is that they want. Social media has done so much with marketing, kind of figuring out exactly what the customers want. Now we have so many specialized products thanks to social media. The consumer decision-making process is the problem recognition, information search, evaluate alternatives, purchase decision, and then post-purchase evaluation. So whenever you are making like a bigger decision, say something like you're going out to buy a car, your problem is going to be that you need to get a reliable automobile from to get to point A to point B. You're going to do some information search. So you're going out online, maybe you're reading some consumer reviews, trying to figure out the best car for your situation. If you need just a car, if you need an SUV, a truck, whatever it might be, you can evaluate some alternatives. Think about if you want to go with Chevy, do you want to go with Ford, Toyota, Dodge, whatever it might be. Purchase decision, hopefully narrow it down to just a couple, and then you go ahead and make the purchase. And then the post-purchase evaluation is, after you make the purchase, are you happy with your decision? Do you regret it? And that's where you evaluate the decision from there. So factors that affect consumer behavior, we've got learning, reference group, culture, subculture, and then cognitive dissonance here. And then top marketing challenges, which marketing can be challenging in both business to consumer and also business to business markets. Common issues are brand awareness, social media and other digital platforms, converting leads into customers, gaining customers' insight, budgeting, and competing in global markets. One of the big things I want to point out here is just converting leads into customers. So you might have somebody who shows interest in something, but it's really hard to get them to commit to it. Maybe they're used to buying a different product that's one of your competitors, or maybe they just aren't all that familiar with your product. So that can be one of the top challenges whenever you're trying to market somebody. So B2B marketers include manufacturers, retailers, hospitals, schools, not-for-profits, government. Products are often sold and resold several times before reaching the final consumer. So there is a wider variety of careers in marketing than in most business disciplines. So you can be a retail store manager, marketing research, product management, selling, advertising, sales promotion, public relations, web design. I mean, it is a very diverse culture. And there's a lot of really good, marketing firms out there, and pretty much every organization that you work for will have some sort of marketing department or advertising department. They will also be working with a third party just to get, some more, ideas put into it. But, like I said, if you really like the show Mad Men, or if you haven't seen it before, I would highly suggest watching it. If that's something that kind of interests you, I would definitely recommend looking into marketing. You can get a marketing degree, you can get marketing concentrations, and they're very rewarding careers, and they're pretty cool careers to go into. So that's all I've got for chapter 13. We'll see you next time in chapter 14.